Hi everyone. Today we're going to do mixed medium morsels main dish number 10, and I thought I would put together a couple of little Christmas cards. Sometimes you might get tired of using just scrapbook papers and things that you've commonly used over the years, and you might want to use something different that shows a little bit more of your actual art. So what I'm going to do is use some strips of painted papers. I just scraped some paint onto some book pages. Okay, this is nothing more than scraping paint on. Okay, and then I also stenciled, and I kept in the same color family, so these are all in the green tones. And then I just tore strips. I laid a ruler down, and then just lifted the paper and tore strips. And that's what these are, okay? And I thought it would be fun to just, piece some strips together and make a background for a card. So we're going to start with this green one. I've already got some little strips laid out. What I'm going to do, though, this is going to go onto the front of my card base. Okay, so here's my base, and this card will go on the top here. And I'm going to lay my strips vertically on the card. And I tore them all uneven, so they're all going to be kind of staggered and, uneven on the edges just to give it a fun look. But because all of my strips don't cover the entire surface of that card, I'm going to paint this card around the edges, just inside the edges, with a gold color paint, and that will make a really nice background for these strips to go down on. So I've got some gold Lumiere paint that's got a real nice shine to it. So I thought I would just use that, and I can probably use this right here in the lid. And the strips are going to cover most of the card, so I'm just going to be going around the edges. I think I'm going to put something underneath here just to catch. I was catching some green paint on this one. Maybe I'll just use this piece of deli paper. And then if there's any excess, it won't be wasted. So I'm just doing all of the edges. There's a little bit of dried bit in that lid. Okay. Just around the insides. And I think I'll probably do 2 coats. Some more of that dried stuff. So it's okay if this looks messy because it's going to all be covered over with the paper strips. Okay, so I'm going to dry this layer, and then I'll put another layer on top, and it'll give it a nice color. Alright, so my gold paint is dry, and I'm gonna now I'm gonna glue down the strips onto the background, so you can see how pretty that green looks with the gold back there. I love that. Isn't that cute? This is really pretty. Okay, so this is pretty simple. Just going to glue stick these torn painted paper strips onto the card. All right, I also have some washi tape, real skinny washi tape with some Christmassy colors that looks really nice with these greens and golds, and then that little pop of red looks really good. So I'm going to attach a piece on either side of this strip, just like that, and I'm going to glue it down because of how washi's not very dependable. So the next thing I'm going to add are some flowers. And I'm going to make the flowers because I just think it's fun to make as much of items like this as you can. I mean, it's great to put scrapbook embellishments. I don't have anything against those, but it is kind of fun to make your own embellishment too. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to use some book text and a bold chisel tip marker. Okay, this is just one of these everyday marks a lot kind of markers, and it's permanent. Excuse me. And I'm just going to make a 5-petal, just a little loopy flower. Okay. Okay, just like that. And I've already made some flowers to put on this card, but I want to show you how I did it. I also took a thin Sharpie marker, a fine point one, and I just made an additional loop. Okay, just like that. One for each petal. Okay. So that's what I have. Okay, this is pretty simple, pretty basic, and I think anybody can do this. Just make your flower. You see how all my petals are not even. They're not all perfectly proportioned, you know, around. It's just a loopy flower. It's supposed to be fun and whimsical, and so that's what I've done. All right, then I took a metallic paint. This one is Deco Art Dazzling Metallics in Festive Red. Okay, and I painted the inside of the petals with that, and I did 2 coats, and when I got done they looked like this. Okay, I also added some stickles, some ice stickles in the center of the flowers. Okay, so you get a flower that looks like this, a real pretty red, and it's also metallic, so it's very shimmery. You know, when it hits the light differently, you can see a different look. All right, once I got them painted, I cut them out of the book text, and then I laid them down on a piece of cardstock. I glued them down, I should say, on a piece of cardstock so that they would have, you know, more substance and not be quite so thin as the book paper was. So that made some sturdy little embellishments, and it's just so simple to do something, you know, like this, and you don't need to go out and buy embellishments. Now, if you have a bunch of embellishments that you need to use up, then this is a perfect place to use those. But I did make these ahead of time just because they needed some drying time for the stickles to dry, and but I did want to show you how I made them. So what I'm going to do, I stiffened them up because I want to pop them up with some foam adhesive. So I'm going to get some foam adhesive out. Need to get that to stay put. I might have to trim that off if it doesn't stay, but it's okay. I'm going to glue it down, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm going to put some foam adhesive on the back of these so that they'll pop up off the card. And but I think before I do all of that, I think I'll go ahead and attach this to the card base. Okay, so this is just a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card. I did add a piece of scrapbook paper on the inside just to have a nice decorative piece of paper, and I made sure that it was kind of light in color so that it can be written on, and your writing won't, you know, get lost in a pattern paper. So if you do this, try to choose something that's kind of light in background, and or light in color, I should say, for your background. And I'm just going to attach this onto the front of the card base, and I cut the card front just 1/4 of an inch smaller all the way around, so it's 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so just use some double-sided tape to stick it down. Open this up so I can see it laying flatter. I gotta have crows outside. And they're being really loud. I love crows. There we go. He's saying something. He's saying the same thing over and over. Talking to his buddy, I guess, because I saw another one out there with him. Okay. All right, so now we've got that attached to the card front. And let's see. I'm going to put a little bit of shading on the green strips, just to give them a little bit of dimension. And I'm going to add some green colors, and also maybe a little bit of black to shadow just a little bit. But before I do that, I'm going to coat these in some some Collage Page, just so that the color moves around better. I can move it and it won't just soak into the paper. It'll give it a nice barrier. 'Cause this paper is very absorbent. This old book text. That crow is trying to steal my video here. Trying to take center stage. All right, I'm going to just put a little here and see if I can spread it around. Don't need a whole lot. That might be too much, but it might be okay. And I'm not going to get this on the gold. I'm just going to paint, like, hopefully on the strips. As I say, I'm not going to get it on the gold. I got it on the gold. I just don't want it to be cloudy looking, make that gold background look cloudy. So that's why I'm trying to avoid getting it on the gold. And if a little gets on here and there, it's not a big deal. I'm just not wanting to make big brush strokes over it, you know. Okay. Okay, I think that's pretty good. A little bit there, a little bit there. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to dry that up. All right, so I'm just going to take the markers and just darken one side just a tiny bit and just kind of spread it. Spread it out just a little bit with my finger so that it kind of shades it in just a little bit on the one side. It just gives the strips a little bit of dimension. You don't have to do this step. It just makes it look nice. So there's the strips with a little bit of shading. All right, so now I'm gonna just add the flowers onto the card front, like that. And just gonna overlap a couple of them up here and then have one down in this corner, maybe like that. Okay, so I've got some just regular Scotch, I believe this is Scotch foam adhesive, and I'm gonna stick some to the back. Okay, now on this side, since the flower is overlapping, I will only be putting foam adhesive on this side of the flower. So let's say this petal I won't. So I'm going to mark that petal so I don't put any adhesive there. Find my little pencil, so I'm not going to put any there. Not the foam stuff. I might put a little bit of something else there. All right, now I forgot one step that I was going to do before I put these flowers on, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can correct it just a little bit. I also have some another washi tape that's a tiny little gold one, and I want to put some of that, just some little pieces here and there, and I meant to do it before I put the flowers on, but I can still fit some in. Okay, so you get little bits of shimmer in there with the green that kind of matches the gold shimmers on the tape, which is really kind of cool. Really fun. Now I'm going to take a painter's pen, a gold painter's pen. I'm just going to make some little flourishes, like little vines that are coming off the flowers. So you have some little doodly, flourishy kind of things to kind of fill it in and add interest and make more sparkle, because it is a Christmas card after all, right? Okay, I have stamped a little sentiment from a set of Christmas stamps that I have, and it says joy, and I'm just going to trim around it. Then I'm going to take a red marker and just kind of catch the edges here. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to pop this up on some foam adhesive also. And I'm going to put that right here. And then I've got some red stickles, and I'm going to put just a dot right in the center of that little star. There we go. There we go, and I think that makes a really cute handmade Christmas card, and it includes your art. You know, if you make something like this, it includes your art, and I think that's just a fun way to do it, and have something nice to send out. Okay, so now let's make another one. This one I'm going to use red painted papers. Okay, so we've got several different options. Okay, and I just used several different shades of red paints that I had. And always when I made the red one and also the green one, I always took the extra paint that I had left over after I scraped one color, and I scraped it on an extra sheet, an extra book page. And so you end up with something that's just a hodgepodge mess of extra paint. Okay, and I did the same thing with the green one. I had scraped green paint all over. I added some extra stenciling because I had paint left in the sponge that I was using to stencil on this sheet. Okay, so I just added all the excess to one page, and that particular page makes the most interesting strip to me because it's just a mixture of all of them, and there's a little bit of the white book text showing through. So it's just a fun one to add. So, and it matches because it's the same color as all the rest of your paints that you're using in that particular card. So you can see here where I stenciled in red, and I just used this handmade stamp that I made out of a piece of fun foam. I just drew my pattern on there with a pen, and created an impression in the foam. And that's what creates a cool stamp. So that's a good, cheap, easy way to make stamps if you need to. And besides that, it's just fun. I did the same thing on this one. I stamped in a darker red color, and then I took that same gold painter pen, and I just outlined, some of the features, some of the details that were on that little stamp. And I did that because I knew that when I tore it, I was going to have some cool looking pieces like this, okay? You get just little bits and pieces of, all the fun stuff that you've done on it. Here's another one, another example of it. Okay. So it just really looks neat, and I love it. I also used a white Posca pen around the outside of each one of those leaf shapes. Okay, so then I didn't, my tongue's getting tangled. So then I took the this magenta color that I had chosen, and I splattered white paint on it. I used the Sharpie oil-based paint pen, and I just was slinging it on there, and It's kind of interesting because the oil pen leaves shiny shiny dots. I don't know if you can see that in the on the camera, but it looks like they're wet when they're not. They're dry, so it's kind of interesting. And also on this one, on this red one, I scribbled some with a white pen. I just scribbled some nonsense scribble all over it just to add a little bit more interest. And then I left a couple of them plain. Okay, so let's get to making the red card. This one I'm going to just glue the strips directly onto the card base, and I'm going to bring them all the way flush to the top and bottom edges. And I think that this one needs a little bit more of something, so I'm going to add some red metallic paint to this little strip. Just a tiny bit of paint, really all you need. I'm going to use a little piece of a credit card, okay? It's just a little chopped off piece of a credit card, and I'm just going to make some little diagonal lines like that. I'm going to also use the gold painter pen again. Okay, and I'm just going to make some little dots inside between the lines that I just made. So we've got little gold dots in there. Okay, here's how it looked originally. And here's how it looks now. All right. Big difference, huh? Just with those little tiny things added. Okay, so that makes it, just makes it pop a little bit more and looks more colorful. And I just figured with the gold in this one down here, that that kind of made it nice and balanced out a little bit on this card. All right. So I'm going to add these with the glue stick like I did previously with the green ones. And then I'm going to use that same washi tape that I used on the green card here. And I'm going to line, put a stripe on the white edge. And also I'm going to put a stripe across the top and bottom. The focal point I'm going to put on here is I have these little felt trees that I've had for a long time, and I decided I'm, trying to use stuff up. So on this card I am going to use a store-bought embellishment, and I'm going to have the tree, excuse me, I'm going to have the tree here. But I'm also going to decorate this tree, and I started the decoration already just to let the glue dry. So I added some little sequins. Okay, it's just little inexpensive sequins. Okay, and I decided today, I was looking at it and decided I'm going to add one more thing for ornaments or decoration on the tree, and that is some of these little red gems. Okay, I've had these for a very long time also. That just adds another bit of brightness to it. It's shiny, so I like that. All right, so my tree is going to go right about there, and I have a star that I've already decorated. I need to get one and show you what the original looks like. They're little acrylic. They're little acrylic stars, and they had eyelets and backing pieces on them to attach to the card. But I just used the plain acrylic, little acrylic star, and I coated it in some of that gold stickles, the ice stickles, these. So it now looks like this. And I also filled in the hole with glue and then added some more of the stickles on top of that. Okay, so the hole got filled with glue. I laid it on my craft mat and just filled it with glue, and after it dried I added a couple of layers of the stickles there to cover up the glue. So that's how my little tree is going to look with the star in place. Alright, so I just need to glue this stuff down, and I think these little flowers will stick on here fine if I flip this over and put some glue on it. I've got a little piece of corrugated cardboard that I just tore some of the paper layer off, and then I cut a little piece that I'm going to use for the tree trunk. So we'll make it about that long, and I'm just going to put a little bit of color on it with some markers. And then for the greeting, I have another stamped greeting. Okay, it says Merry Christmas. And I'm going to do the same thing I did previously on the green card, and that's just to trim around the lettering. Sweet little Christmas card, all glittery, sparkly. Just a piece of scrapbook paper on the inside. I think I'm going to dot the I on this, on the word Christmas right here. There we go. I hope you guys will make some of these fun little Christmas cards, and easy way to use up your jelly prints or your painted papers. Use up some washi tape. Create your own embellishments, and just have fun making up a few cards for somebody special for the holidays. I made a couple of these, like I said, ahead of time, and I really enjoyed it. Oh, I just saw something here that I forgot to do. I added a little dot of these stickles to the curled areas of the of these little flourishy doodles. Added a little bit there. So yeah, I hope you guys will do this also. And here's the other Christmas tree one. And I wanted to show you too that You can make cards out of your paper strips, your painted paper strips for any occasion. This is just a simple little anytime card, hello or happy birthday, get well, whatever. And I just put this together real quick with some other strips that I had cut. I tore these, and I thought that gave those a fun look, but these had been cut, so I just used some cut strips. And my card is a little funny here because I thought I had the right size piece of paper. I thought it was a half of a 8.5 by 11 sheet, but I evidently had already trimmed some off and didn't realize it. So I was scoring it, you know, and where the halfway point is at the 4 1/4 mark, and lo and behold, found out one side was shorter than the other. So I just I just made do, and I added one more strip on the excess piece right here. And I thought it made a fun card, just something different, you know. So anyway, make some cards with your colorful paper strips, and use up some of that stuff so you can make some more. You need to make room for new things. So I hope you guys enjoyed this morsel main dish, and I look forward to seeing the cards that you make with your painted paper strips. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.